This video is going to be a little bit different than my typical videos in that instead of talking about the hardware behind video games, we're actually going to talk about video games. I invited my friend Wes from the Second Opinion Games podcast over to talk about games that we'd beaten in the past year, because we've been following the hashtag #BeatIt2018, where you post pictures of the last screen of a game and show which ones that you've beat. And we're going to go through and talk about our experiences. I'm going to show footages of the games and really just kind of go through, and we get a little bit sidetracked now and then, but as we do. And if anybody's looking for the audio-only version, we did this swapcast style. The video is going on my channel, and the audio is going on his Second Opinion Games podcast channel. So anybody that wants audio-only, please check it out down there, and I will have the link in the description. So, without further ado, here's Wes from Second Opinion Games and I talking about the games that we'd beat this year. Hey guys, I am here with Wes from Second Opinion Games, and I want to talk to Wes about games that we've beaten this year. Hashtag #BeatIt2018. It's all over Twitter and Instagram. And I have not had good experiences this year for the most part.
Ooh,
How about you?
Well, I play more modern games along with my retro.
Yeah.
So that's for those of you who are watching this who've listened to my podcast, it's a everything podcast, kind of like a kitchen sink of video games. We don't go into a lot of the big online games like MMOs and MOBAs, and well, I'm too old for that. I can't deal with that. I just and I'm not hip and cool with the Fortnite or the PUBG, as all the kids are calling it. But I had a few good. So far in 2018, we had a few good games that I enjoyed. I talked about this earlier. Golf Story came out in 2017, but I beat in 2018. And that is a game that both the retro crowd and the, how should I say, new people crowd, it's only on Nintendo Switch right now. It will be out on other platforms probably in a year. But it was a super duper charming game. And
so what exactly, describe the game, and just for anybody watching, we're going to stick in the confines of more of the retro style games.
Exactly.
And that would definitely fall into the category, but that's one that I have not.
I'm not going to talk about
yet.
No Man's Sky or like those games.
This is the RetroRGB's channel, so we're not going to be. I'm not going to be.
And
talking about games
the problem with the GTX 1080 Ti, you can go to my podcast for that one. Yeah.
So yeah, Golf Story is a good start because you've been recommending that. A lot of people have been recommending it. So like, what does it feel like? What is it? A top-down side scroller?
It's a top-down game where the characters kind of have almost it's a very Super Nintendo looking game. Very, cross between a Chrono Trigger style art style and something else. It's its own thing though. You can't. There's certain games that they basically love Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy or Zelda or something. It does have its own look to it, which is very nice, but it's 16-bit. Music is great. The music is instrumental. It's not like chip tunes, but it's really well done music. It is a adventure game where let's say you replace battles with playing golf against people. So you're walking around a golf course and someone comes up to you and they're like, hey, I'm like the best putter in town. You'll never out-putt me. And you have to do a putting challenge. So each area has its own long form course, which is like the boss battle. Is to get to the course. And then there's all these little mini things you can do within each course. And it has a funny storyline. And that's something I think a lot of people have trouble with in games now, is to actually make them funny. Like, haha, this is actually funny, and not like, oh, look, a meme. This is it's written really well. It's fun to the point where, it's all text on screen. There's no voice acting, but I've laughed out loud a few times because it's just that funny.
So basically, you're walking around top-down Zelda style. You run into things RPG style, where you run into and you have to battle. And is it?
It's a golf game.
Instead of putting like a golf game, or
so the golf is super arcadey, and
good. I actually love those.
It's so much fun. Think of almost a more fun version of like the Kirby golf, and it's like real. So you're a person and you're shooting the golf ball, but then there's like wacky hazards. So you go to a golf course that's inhabited by cavemen, and there's like tar pits that you have to avoid, and then there's like angry birds that want to steal your stuff, and there's wind. But the entire time, your rival, his name is Max Yards, the best golfer, and he's like a real jerk, and you have to kind of like battle him and stuff. And then there's a rivalry between you and this other golf girl who's like trying to become the best golfer. And the whole game starts where your wife leaves you, and you're getting a divorce. So like you just one day you're like, I'm gonna be the best golfer. And that's everyone so thinks it's the weirdest game, but that's what makes it so charming. The pacing is great. It's a lot of fun, and it's one of those things where you lose the golf thing, it just do it again. There's no like health points or anything. You just keep until you win the golf game. And each golf game will set a stipulation. Oh, like try to do this in like 4 putts. So
what's the goal? Is it to run into everybody and beat everybody, then get to the end?
Yeah. So what happens is when you fight golf people, you get money, and the more money you get better clubs. And the clubs aren't better; they just give you more variety. So let's say you're in a sand trap. There's like wacky magical wedges that can do certain things. And the cool thing about the game is you could go through the entire game and do awesome with the standard set of clubs you get. And that's cool too. If let's just say you want to just burn through it and you don't care about any of that stuff, you can.
I like stuff like that.
Yeah,
where the upgrades are upgrades, not necessities.
They're not necessities. You don't need anything. The only time is at the very beginning where they won't let you into certain areas until you get like the baseline putter, just so they're like forcing you to like, this is how you putt.
I like that.
This is how you drive.
I like when games are set up like that where the training area
is the game.
Is the game.
Yeah.
Kind of like the beginning of Breath of the Wild, where it was very much a training area, but it never felt that way ever.
Yeah. There's never 16 blocks of text and the game does that. Especially, it's hard in a 16-bit game because you have to put text for things. But this was very much like, there's like, so you come from the golf course called the Well-Worn Golf Grove, and it's the ghetto. There's like, there's gangs on it. There's the disc golf frisbee people that everyone hates, and you have to like befriend them to get this. And there's disc golf in the game. It's a goofy, fun game, and what I like about it is it's set in a real world with goofy environments. The golf gameplay, for someone who hates golf, like I don't like golf. Like I do mini golf. That's I go to a golf course. I'm just like, ugh, I don't like this. I love this game. I love this game. It's so much fun because it's arcadey. That was going to be my next
question. Like, do you have to be a fan of golf to
Absolutely
get into the
not.
game? So.
And that's the other kind of charm of the game is you don't need it. As long as you know that you need to get the ball in the hole in the least amount of putts or hits, that's it.
So about how long do you think it took you to beat the game?
I went and got everything. So you can collect these NES cartridges of Golf. And it's an NES game that you can play. So they made their own NES game in this game. And the game is called Golf. And I think there's 3 of them, and you have to do all these things to get all... Like, there's a magical goth fairy you meet, and she gives you, like, golf nights. And when you put the cartridge in, it has, like, that terrible voice that they had from 18-bit. It's like, how about a game of golf?
Oh, yeah.
And you probably see it on the internet and others. But it's charming. It's charming. I'd say about 12 hours it took me to get through the game while trying to hunt down most things. And it's not a collectathon either. It's not, because that can turn people off too. It's like, go find all the things to collect were pretty reasonable. Like if you're someone who's enjoying the game, you're going to get all the stuff.
It's not like in Skyward Sword where, at least a third of the game was a fetch quest.
Yes.
That was useless.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
All right. So you give that a yes for recommendation?
I give that a 2 thumbs up. Play it. It's a great game. It's only on Nintendo Switch right now, sadly. So you can't. I think they're talking about releasing it on Steam, and of course PS4 and Xbox One and everything else in the not too distant future. But it was a Nintendies game. I guess they're calling their Nintendies. So that was a good one. I enjoy Golf Story though. Thumbs up.
The first one I played this year that I can remember, I might be talking a little bit out of order, but The Mummy Returns. Because I got into Metroidvanias again for a while.
Yeah, or is it the Mummy Demastered?
Demastered. That's it, The Mummy Demastered.
See? You're glad I'm here.
Yeah, that's why I called you here. I think my metric...
Starring Tom Cruise.
Yeah. I think my metric for games has been Ori and the Blind Forest. And while I've talked about that before, I'll just do a very quick run through of that, where I just think that was a perfect Metroidvania. There was a mini training. It did take like an hour and a half, 2 hours for me to really get into it, but something about it said just keep playing it.
Yeah.
And then at one point that was it. I was just hooked. Which I've seen a lot of people describe games like that where it took like 4 or 5 hours to get into it, where I don't have that kind of time.
I don't have that. That was Final Fantasy 13. Everyone was like, oh man, hour 15, then it gets good. I'm like, I don't have 15 hours to put into a game to like it.
So that is the metric that I've been using, because gameplay was perfect. The power-ups were perfect. You could then get to different sections and you could warp, and it was an excellent game. So I was spoiled with that one. The Mummy Demastered. The first thing I noticed about it was it looked like it was built with that same side-scrolling game engine that everybody's been using.
Yeah.
It looks like it could be any one of those games, which, at the end of the day...
Either is it Game Maker or Unity or...
Whatever it is.
Yeah, I think it's Game Maker. Yeah.
I don't mind playing the same thing over and over, the same look over and over, as long as the gameplay is good.
Yeah.
But it felt... The first thing that it felt like somebody Googled like what are the best old games and then took those and made it into it without actually knowing what they were doing. There were entire sections that were not an homage to Castlevania.
Yeah.
It was a straight up ripoff. The controls felt almost like Metal Slug, but it was a Metroidvania, so it didn't like.
That's weird.
There were things that they weren't bad. So but there was one game-breaking thing about this that absolutely drove me crazy, was that when you die, you lose everything. You have to go back to the spot that you died in and fight yourself to get your stuff back. So on a game like Shovel Knight, where you're playing the same level a bunch of times, linear, that's, some people like it, some people don't, whatever. I have no problem with that, because you have to pass that area anyway.
Yeah.
But one of the best parts about a Metroidvania is just wandering about and just saying, well, all right, I don't really know, do I need to go this way or that way? Let me just wander for 10 minutes, and then you find out, like, oh, I really should have gone the other way, and you reset, you die, or you do something bold because you don't care, and then you go back. So to walk 10 minutes through a place with a lot of really hard enemies, realize, like, oh, it's not the right thing, and then die, and then all of the power-ups that you need to keep going, you have to go all the way back. I only did that once. And it really ruined the game for me, because every time I'd get to a spot where I'd have one life left, I'd reset, because I wouldn't want to have to waste 15 minutes going back to this spot. Like, it was, that ruined the whole game for me, was that feature. But I did beat it, and some of the humor was good, some of the humor was pretty bad in it. So I just, overall, I mean, I would recommend it because it was not a hard game. Just that I wish there was a way to turn off that lose everything. Even if the game was harder, but you kept everything when you died, it would be way more fun to play.
Yeah, that, and then it's like, oh, we should do that because that's kind of like a Dark Souls, and you're like, sometimes it doesn't fit in this, kind of zone. You know what's weird is I'm having a this isn't a game I beat, but this is a game I'm having a failure to launch in. And there's two reasons. One is I'm playing another game right now, which I'll get to in a little bit. But Hollow Knight.
Oh, I hate that game. No, wait. Which one was Hollow Knight?
That's the one where you're the little bug guy and everything's like that.
Yeah, I hate that game.
Like cartoonish look to it.
I thought, for some reason, I thought it was the other Shovel Knight game for a second there.
What other Shovel Knight? Ooh.
Spectre Knight, like whatever.
Oh, one of their there's Spectre Knight, and then there's Plague Knight.
Right.
Plague Knight one.
So not that group of games. Yeah, I can't stand that game.
So my issue with Hollow Knight, and so many people love this game. They're saying like it's the best game ever.
That was one of the ones that they said, oh, 4 hours into it and it's going to be great.
Yeah, and my biggest issue is, and I like it, I want to like it, because everything, I like the art style, I like the universe, it's super original. And this is, again, a pet peeve, and this is my view, they're using the map as an ability. And I've been trained since Super Metroid that even though I don't get a map yet, where I go, I can still see at least where I've been.
Yeah.
And that game doesn't do that. You have to like find a map guy, and then you got to backtrack.
Imagine if that were real life. Imagine if you walked out of my apartment, went 3 blocks that way, 3 blocks that way, and then couldn't get back because you didn't have enough money to buy a map back. You can't just count 3 by 3.
Yeah, it was kind of like a weird, for such a great game that has so many other cool things going for it. It was such a weird design decision to kind of keep the map away from us. Yeah. And I'm like, I want to explore this world, but like I keep backtracking to a bench because I'm just neurotic. I want to see a map because I sit there, and all the Metroidvania games, I'm saying, all right, well, I'm here and I've been there, and oh, what's up there? I can't do that. I'm just this little dot in blackness.
Right.
And I just move around in the blackness until I find the map guy, and I pay him money. Then I have to sit at a bench to draw out the map, and it just seemed like this thing that slowed down to get into the game. And like you said, a lot of people are like, oh, well, once you get past that and you get all, then you can fly through it. And I'm like, yeah, but why? Why did they do that? Why?
And that's another game where when you die, you lose everything. You lose all your money.
Yeah.
So that.
And you have to go back to your area and get it. And and I get it. I know a lot of these games want death to mean something.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of games you just die a million times until you get it right. Right, sometimes games.
Because I'm the biggest like Dark Souls nut on the block. I love me some Dark Souls, but
if that's the case, why did they make so many of their enemies and bosses so hard?
Yeah.
So you can't have both and have a good game. You could either make death mean something and everything's fair, or you make it a little unfair, so you got to practice, but you don't get screwed over every time you die.
Yeah.
How far did you get in that game?
I'm like 2 hours into, so I'm not that deep into it. Because, and I'll talk near the end about Dead Cells. I started playing Dead Cells, and that game was like, I'm addicted to it. I cannot. I'm thinking about playing it right now. Like, I'm looking at you, and I'm just seeing the graphics of Dead Cells float across my eyes, and I'm just like, I need to play this game more.
But for Hollow Knight, though, did you get up to the part with the red cape girl?
That's like where I left off. That's literally where I left off.
So this isn't so spoilery. I mean, it's very early in the game, but I couldn't figure out her pattern to beat her, and every time I beat her, or every time I lost, I would then have to go fight myself, then go back down and power up, then save, then go back and fight. Like, it just, every time it was 2 or 3 minutes wasted. But if you die 50 times, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time.
So it's not fun at all.
Unlike a Dark Souls where, let's say you die and you want to go get your souls back. You can actually use that as an opportunity to farm, get more souls. In Hollow Knight, you're not really doing, maybe you can farm and get more money, but that's kind of boring. You're kind of going through the same area again. Yeah. And I could see where that shuts a lot of people off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can go back to it.
Yeah.
I think that's it for me. I think I just spent too much time trying to beat that one boss and then having to go back and do that whole pattern again and not having a map system, and could have been good.
Yeah. And, then people say, oh, you guys suck at games. I'm like, I don't know, I can beat Mega Man 2, pretty easily. Granted, I played it 1,000 times, but it's still like, that's a hard game.
All right, I think this is a great segue then.
Yeah.
Bloodstained, the Castlevania 8-bit game. That game is designed for people that are excellent at games or garbage at games.
Yes.
And I played it on easy because, and I know I'm probably going to get dragged through the coals here, but I don't like the 8-bit Castlevanias. I find them very clunky.
Yeah.
I don't like the controls. And it's just battle a bunch of enemies, hit some candles, diagonally walk up left stairs, like diagonally. And so I wanted to play it because I wanted to experience it. So I played it on easy mode, and I beat it because it was on easy mode.
Yeah. And it's, not a long game either.
But I really enjoyed the experience of it.
Yeah.
Because, yes, every time I jumped, it was that awkward 8-bit clunky jump that drove me nuts.
Yeah.
But it made it so that I could just enjoy the game and not have to get frustrated. Where you get guys like Carsey that did no damage runs of the games. Which,
yeah, I don't know how... That's when you start... That's like the Zen, I'm in Zen mode, you know.
There's no way I will ever beat that guy at video games. Which, by the way, just to be a... When we were at Barcade a while back, and we were playing MK2, and the stick I was using was broken.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to get him. So I was like, hey, Carsey, you think you're so good at games? Why don't you play me at MK2? Here you go. He still beat me.
He still beat me.
So I told him immediately afterwards. I was like, I was just messing with you, but you still beat me. So, but yeah, I mean, that's
like pride hurting, too, at that point. You give him a broken controller. Because that's like the always biggest comp out as a kid. You get like the Mad Catz controller. Like, oh, you only won because I got the dumb controller.
Yeah, but that's like me racing Usain Bolt and giving him flip flops. You're gonna. Yeah, there's no. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really did enjoy Bloodstained, even though that's not my type of game. I thought that was one that it's cheap, it's nostalgic, it's well made, and anybody who just feels like playing that could enjoy it. Whether you want to just grind and really learn every pattern, or if you just want to play an old style game in one sitting for a couple hours. You know?
Did
you play that one yet?
I haven't. I haven't really. I played like the first 2 levels on easy, just because I'm getting through it, and then something else happened. I think that game came out when I was finishing a dissertation, so that was like a few things kind of went on the burner, and I never went back to them. I was like, oh, that's cool. And I should, maybe this week I'll just sit down and burn through it. Because it was enjoyable and easy, and I'm literally at the midway mark.
Yeah.
This is not a long game.
No. And you could do fun things like if you play
the level after the train.
Yeah.
So it's like the mid-mark.
All right, yeah. And when you play your Switch, you predominantly play it in Switch mode, right? Not docked? Or both?
I'm all over the place. I played it an entire week in handheld mode while I was in Florida this past week. I could say I'm a 70-30, 70% docked, 30% handheld. Because I teach at a college sometimes, and I have a lot of downtime when I'm waiting for my class to come in.
Yeah.
I'll just pull up the Switch and just start, futzing around for 45 minutes.
Makes perfect sense.
When I was playing Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, that was like my jam, because I could just be like, all right, I'm going to hit a shrine or 2. Or I'm going to go get some power moons. I'm just... Whatever.
Or go... whenever I was...
chop down 50 trees. Bored. Yeah.
or just go and I never got this part of the map. Let me just go and...
Yeah.
I get 10 minutes to kill. Let me not do anything
crazy. Or I'm going to grind
crazy
for some weird things and go to the ferry and get an upgraded hat. It's just stuff... It was always... Yeah. For that whole year, Breath of the Wild was my jam. That was just if I had free time, I'd just whip out the Switch and just play it. But I can honestly say 70% is docked, and 30% is handheld. So it gets a lot of use, because the Switch is slowly becoming my primary gaming rig, and I have a...
you have a pretty awesome rig.
I have a GTX 1080 when I built it a few years ago, it was about a little over $2,000, and then the cryptocurrency stuff made everything in my computer worth even more.
Yeah. So
it was the only time I've ever built a computer, and then it was worth more 2 years later than
that is pretty funny.
It's weird. It's so I have 32 gigs of DDR4 high-speed RAM in it, and I bought that for $160, 32 gigs. Now 16 gigs is $130.
That's crazy.
It's literally doubled in price, so that just kind of shows you where it is. But the Switch has just been this darling. I just take it with me.
That makes perfect sense. For me, I mean, I spent my whole life working to get a decent TV and a decent stereo.
Me too. Yeah, I'm in the same.
I was the little poor kid with the TV where there was vice grips on the channel selector because the channel thing broke. And
I had a J.C. Penney TV.
Oh, there you go. So I had 99% for me Switch is docked going into my OLED, but I think it's funny because sometimes playing it on an LCD screen, some of those retro style games really feels like you're playing on a Game Boy Advance.
So a game came out recently, WarioWare, Gold. It's all the I love WarioWare, but it's on the 3DS, and I'm like, ugh. And I'm just put everything on the Switch. The Switch is this big, beautiful 720p screen, and at that size, it's better than Retina to compare it to phone. It looks gorgeous. I'm like, just put everything on that. Just put everything on that.
I was very pissed that Samus Returns was not on the Switch.
Oh, don't even. That's
so
oof.
Samus Returns.
Yeah.
You start.
Oh yeah, Samus Returns.
Yeah. End of review.
Yeah, end of review. It's okay. It's Metroid. I like Metroid.
I love 2D
liked
Metroids.
it. And so, yes, you got me there. It's not going to get a thumbs down, but there were some wacky things that they did, which were. What is it? Mercury Steam made the game. The people that made the Lords of Shadow games.
Oh yeah.
So, I liked some of the mechanics in the game. I really liked the hit.
I hated that so much.
Why?
That is not part of a Metroid game.
It's a part of
that is not part of the game mechanics.
They're allowed to add some things and
Scott said the same
spice it up a little bit.
Scott said the same thing. Scott loved it. And there's never been a 2D Metroid game where you have to parlay an enemy and shoot. And holding on to the 3DS,
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. My hands cramped it up.
Thing,
yeah, and you're like,
If I was playing with a nice controller, if it was on the Switch and I had the 8-bit DOE, the SNES style controller, that would have been way easier.
Yes,
but trying to balance the 3DS and because it's portable, a lot of times it's like, well, all right, I don't want to crank up the TV late at night, so if it's an insomnia night, I'll just play it in bed. And so I'm trying to balance it, hold it awkwardly, shoot the parlay. It drove me crazy. So yeah, I did not like that game mechanic at all.
I will give you that. If it was on a controller, it'd be much better. I liked the mechanic because it made you. It kind of let you play two different ways. So you can either be really cautious or you can be bold. And I liked, if you got good at being bold, you'd get in that kind of zone. Because there was times where I was running through an area, I was like, boom, hit, and I felt good. I'm like, oh, this is good. And then when you lose that flow, you get staggered, you get hit, and you're like, all right, I got punished. Okay, I got to kind of get back in the zone again. I kind of liked that. The level design was okay. The difference in the Metroid battles was strange, where they were run away and you have to go to another room and fight them, and I was just like, you're just padding this out for no reason. I had problems with the end of the game. And I don't want to spoil it because people are going to play it and they want to.
Well, at this part, it's a year old pretty much, right?
Yeah.
So I would just spoil away.
Okay, all right.
Spoilers, fast forward, if you don't want to hear this part, but spoil away.
So at the end of the game, you fight the Mother Metroid. I don't know. Is it Omega Metroid or it's the Mom Metroid, the one that lays all the eggs and everything. You kill it. And then you have the little baby Metroid. In the original game, and I'm kind of, there's a guy on YouTube called Mark Brown. He does a great video on this. And I felt the same way. It's this, what I liked about the old game is it's this kind of quiet ending where you just leave with the Metroid and it helps you out. And it's this, kind of bonding experience. Totally gone in this one. It was just all right, you got to get out, you go explore. Oh no, here comes Ridley, because we have to have him in the game, because people love Ridley.
Right.
And it was just this tacked on at the end, I'm gonna fight you, and the little baby Metroid's on his head, and he's like, ah. What am I felt like Poochie from The Simpsons. It's radical, Are we cool enough? We need to make it even cooler. And they kind of missed that whole lonely, creepy feeling you get from the Metroid at the end, and that's what I liked about that. And that the ending was kind of too extreme for me, too cool, and surfboards and sunglasses and what do you think? My
bottom my bottom line on Samus Returns is other than the parlay move thing, which maybe I wouldn't hate it if I played it in the controller. I definitely hate it now.
Well, you don't have a choice. It's on the 3DS, yeah.
I loved the 3D effect. I thought they did a wonderful job.
They did a really good job with that.
So many of my friends played it in 2D the whole time, and I'm like, see, this is the experience you're never going to be able to recreate if they do a remastered version, like on something. You should have, that's something that I enjoyed. But by far, my biggest complaint about Samus Returns is that AM2R exists.
Yes.
So I don't think I will ever play it again on the 3DS. Maybe just for fun, I might play a few minutes just to experience the 3D effect again. I'll definitely replay it if they ever do a version on the Switch or whatever the next console is. But for me, I think the thing that really did it was playing AM2R and how perfect that was, and how great the music was, and how true to the original, but like with its own spin on it. And the new version was just released. Yeah. And a little birdie told me a few people might be working on getting that on a Raspberry Pi. So that people with those 240p RGB hats can now just play it.
I would be all over that.
My goal, I got to figure out how exactly to do this, but I want to play it on the D32 in widescreen 240p. I don't even know if that's possible, by the way, because it would have to be 240 high and then 360 wide or something like that. But that would be my ultimate goal. I mean, I don't care if I have to borrow a rig to do that for, but. Because the truth is, Metroid 2 is a lot longer of a game than Super Metroid. Yeah. But I would absolutely replay that happily. So.
Yeah, AM2R was this kind of like, you're playing it and you're like, oh wait, this is fan made. I kept having to tell myself that this is fan made. Yeah. It's whoa.
It was so good.
Yeah, and one thing, another little niggle I have about Samus Returns, the Mercury Steam one for the 3DS, is they went a little bit too Metroid Prime-y with the music. I liked the music in it, but they kept like putting in the and I was like, all right, I get it. I don't know.
Once again, it felt like somebody who doesn't know Metroid reading the specs making a Metroid game. Yeah. Not always at all, but little things like that.
Did
adding
you like
Ridley
Metroid Prime?
No, I never liked any of the 3D.
You never liked the 3D ones, because I know there's one coming up for the Switch.
I'll give it a try, because the only issue I had with all those 3D games was, growing up with original Nintendo and then occasionally Sega Master System whenever I was over a friend's house. They were wonderful consoles, but you still had to use your imagination enough in every screen in Zelda, and all that. And some of the gameplay mechanics were meh. And then you get to Super Nintendo and Genesis, and the controls were almost always wonderful in a lot of these games. And the graphics were good enough that you didn't have to stare at the screen and wonder, like, is that a secret?
What is that?
Is that a glitch? And then as soon as you hit N64 and a lot of the GameCube games too, like the first time I played one of the 3D Metroids, I'm running around, I was so excited to play it. And I'm like, what is that? Is that a wall? Is that an enemy? And then an enemy runs by and hits me. I'm like, yeah. But I will give that another chance. So one game I just want to mention again very quickly, because we've talked about it until we're blue in the face, is Axiom Verge.
Oh, yeah.
So I played it again and beat it again this year. I loved it even more than the first time, because the first time I killed a lot of hours figuring out, like, I could definitely do this spoiler free. Every time you get a new ability, that's what you use to get to the next place, even if it seems like something... Even if it feels like cheating, that's actually the way to get to it. Yeah. I think I did a good enough job not spoilering that.
Okay, yeah,
right. So that's another metric.
I never finished it, but I have the cartridge for the Switch. I bought the physical.
Perfect.
But there was also one of those games I got, and then my life got crazy, and I'm like,
Definitely play it to the end. The music was awesome.
The music was really good.
The biggest difference, I think, between that and Ori is Ori feels like if the original developers of a SNES or even like a Metroidvania, Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, Super Metroid, if they had those tools today, that's what I feel like it would be. Whereas I feel like Axiom Verge is the original NES developers had the tools that would make that. So that's not an insult or a compliment. It's just a feel, in my opinion. But I loved it. That's just a mention that we have to throw out here, because I am thumbs downing a lot of the games we talk about.
Yes.
So I want to make sure people don't think I'm just a a totally grumpy old man that hates everything.
One thing too, just a side note that's kind of cool and quirky, is Nintendo's been releasing a lot of the arcade classics. So you can buy like the Donkey Kong arcade game.
Yeah.
You can buy Punch-Out, the arcade game. And there's other games where it will allow you to take the Switch and flip it vertical and play the game vertically on the screen. And Fangamer is making a vertical flip grip.
Yep.
You put it into, I did pre-order it.
Oh, okay.
But I got Punch-Out and Donkey Kong, and I played it vertically just for ha-has. It's really enjoyable. It's really enjoyable.
So for arcade games are very... I don't think I want to go too far into that in this conversation, because the whole point of an arcade game was to pique your interest enough to get you to keep pumping quarters in.
Yeah.
And then it's either a fun experience that you walk away from. Like one of my favorite examples is Afterburner. You sat in that thing, although I'm probably 100 pounds over the weight limit now. When I was a kid, you sit in that thing, you fly around. It was like $1 to play it or something. So, you know, you play 2 rounds of it, and that's it. It's the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
But it's an incredible experience.
Yeah.
And I don't think that translates too well to consoles. So
No.
I think a lot of the arcade stuff, like some of it, you just need to be standing. You need to be standing with the stick. Others, the lag obviously drives me insane. Any kind of very precision timing thing, to have software emulation through a flat screen with its own variable timings of lag, that, you know, that's so...
Do we know the amount of lag on a Switch screen?
The way to test that, I think, would be to use the Switch controllers, output it HDMI 720p to a CRT monitor, and then wire up an LED light to the button. Use a 1,000 frame per second camera, and then press the button. And then when you play that back, put it in VLC player or something, Media Player Classic.
Where you can go through each.
And as soon as you see the light, so you know, back it up, and then move forward 1 frame at a time. From the time it lights up, every frame is 1 millisecond. It's actually 960, not 1,000. I mean, you're a professor. You can do math. It's complicated math that ends in close enough to 1 frame. And what you should see is 16 frames after, for your average arcade game. That's when you see motion on the screen. And then everything after that would be lag. You can double check this with software. I'm going to do a whole video on this soon. You basically use an emulator as the metric to know that, all right, this game takes 16 milliseconds to register on screen, only 1 frame, some take 2. And then you use that as your baseline, and that's how you could do it, so that you could actually test the lag on the LCD screen versus, you know, what the HDMI out would be.
Well, for those of you out there, if you want to do that experiment for us,
I will.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's. I'm doing a start on what is lag and how to test it.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to kind of go from there. And what I'm really hoping is that people use that as their own baseline, and take that first video. Steve from HD Retrovision made a little board with me. Not with me, he made the board and then I soldered it together. But and I'm going to have instructions on how to solder this into your controllers, so anybody can do this test themselves. So,
that is great. That is really cool.
And you just get one of those cheap point and shoot cameras. You can get them no more than $200 that have 1,000 frame per second real slow-mo. Yeah. And you just use one of those, and that's it. Anybody could do this for a few $100, and maybe if you're lucky, you could find the one I have on eBay for $50, $60.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sorry for the sidetrack from there, but that's what we do here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's might get a little boring, but it's kind of imperative to explain why the arcade experience might not be the same on the Switch.
And I have a Donkey Kong cabinet in my house too, so
if you get Steve Wiebe good at it, not cheating Billy Mitchell good, but really good for reals. Yeah. And then you try to play it on the Switch.
I can hit an honest like $100,000 in Donkey Kong, which is better than most. I mean, I'm still 900,000 less than these other people who are really, really good at the game. But yeah, it's pretty. And I have like the Donkey Kong cabinet that's a refurbed radar scope. Right. So I mean, that's.
Can you hit 100,000 on the Switch?
I haven't tried too hard yet.
I'm interested to see if it's even possible.
I should try it. I should definitely try it. I was like waiting for the vertical grip to come out.
Makes sense.
Like, I was gonna play it that way. That was like gonna be all right. I'll try it like this. But then like, the Joy-Con's wireless, and we got we have a lot of variables to test.
There you go.
Lots of variables. All right, back to games.
All right.
You had a game, then I'll do a game, then you do a game.
Fox and Forests. Did you play that one?
I did not.
So I have been suckered into the clickbait of what looks like a retro side-scrolling game. I've bought them, which, you know, this is probably the wrong thing to say, but I almost wish I had a hacked Switch so I didn't lose all this money, because I would have been able to demo it for 5 minutes and go, nope. But like, I would have still absolutely bought Mummy Demastered. Still would have finished it. But Fox and Forest, hell no. You have to replay each level multiple times. So imagine like an adventure-style game. So like Adventure Island, I guess.
Okay.
Right? There you go.
That was easy, yeah. There's an island where there's adventures happening.
Right.
What's that game?
What could I call that?
Yeah, what would I call that?
You finish the level, and you can't move on to the next level until you go back and replay it to get different stuff, and it seemed really cheap. It almost seemed like somebody said, hey, we could beat this game in an hour. All right, well, let's just make everybody play it 5 times. Now it's a 5-hour game. And maybe I'm wrong. I've talked about this before on some of my podcasts, and nobody's chimed in, so if I'm missing something, but I beat level 2 like 4 times and was like, no, I can't.
Yeah. Absolutely
not. This is not for me at all. So it looked neat, but yeah.
You know, a game I did not enjoy, because so far I've liked all the games we've talked about. This is a game I was super duper disappointed in, and I don't know who from HD Retrovision was a big Bit.Trip runner fan, but I remember he said stuff on Twitter about it.
If it was Twitter, it was Nick.
Okay,
Steve still has a flip phone, hates technology. It's like Cranky Kong from that.
Yes,
Steve.
he's like cranky. Yeah. So it must have been Nick. So Nick and I have the exact same thoughts on Bit.Trip Runner 3, where I love the first Bit.Trip Runner. I love like those sort of like fast rhythm games. You know, this little guy running. I wouldn't say a forever runner because the levels end, but what's great about the game is the moment you get it wrong, you have to do the level over again, but it's instant. You're back in the action. There's no like waiting for a loading screen or something. It's just like, oh, screwed up. Oh, I'm already playing again. Like you don't even know that you screwed up. You just keep going. And the second one, they went with more of like a 3-dimensional graphics, which was fine. And I love the second one. Music was great. Level design was great. Everything was great. This third one, like 1/3 the amount of levels. And then they did that thing where you have to keep playing the same level over and over and over again. It's like, now get the gems. Now, like, oh, there's a branching path, but it's just like only in 10% and it's slightly different. And then what you'd have to do is you'd have to go back, replay a level again to talk to a guy to get a mission, go do the mission. Then you have to go back and replay the level again to go back and talk. It was so clunky. And on top of that, because they were doing all of this like really, you know, over 3-dimensional, like over the top, really cool looking graphics, the game, and I played this on the Switch, and I thought it was the Switch maybe having trouble with it, but it was like every version. It wasn't syncing up to the music like it should. Like I was getting items and it felt off.
That's weird.
And it's like the whole game is Bit.Trip, you know, rhythm games. That's like their whole thing, runner. And it was like a little disappointing. I couldn't even finish it. And this is a game.
Do you think that was display lag, or do you think it was programming?
I think it was definitely programming, because people were having issues on like the Steam version. People were having issues on Switch.
If it's across platforms, especially on Steam, because so many people have very low latency PC monitors. Yeah. So, yeah, all right.
It was definitely an issue. And this is a game that I had no trouble, Bit.Trip Runner 2, I had no trouble playing on my old crappy Sony 1080p TV that I had a lot of input lag, you know, on like my PS3. You know, it wasn't the optimal, like, you know, I had Twitch game, and I platinumed that game. So it was, or I got all the, I don't know if I had a trouble, but I did everything you could do in that game. And I had no trouble with like the TV that had like 60 millisecond input lag or something. So like, there's definitely some issues going on here. So I was disappointed in it. That would be one of my biggest disappointments of this past year, of playing that style of game.
That stinks.
Yeah, it was sad because I love the company. I love all the other games they put out.
Did you play Blossom Tales?
I did not.
I liked that.
I like that.
I liked that game. It is. There's so much Zelda references and spoofs, but I thought in a classy way, not in a like. I believe it was Mummy Demastered, where there was a lot of retro gaming references, where I was just like, oh, like
it's that like Owlboy, like get it.
Yeah, there was one funny joke in that game, and it just it bugged me. But this one, it was some really funny references, like the kids are sitting in front of Grandpa. This is the opening scene. This is no spoilers. Like, Grandpa, tell us a story. All right. Well, did I ever tell you about my, the little green guy named Lee? They're like, no, Grandpa, we already heard that one.
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to talk about Blossom, and my rule, and I thought it was very funny, and it was very much. Once again, it feels like a game written on top of another engine, which I'm talking out of my butt here. I don't know that for sure.
Yeah.
But it felt like the same graphics and style, but I think they did a really good job. It felt like a very positive throwback to A Link to the Past. I think the only negative thing I would have to say is you need to go into this game understanding that you're not playing A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
You're playing a fun throwback to that game. So I did enjoy it very much.
What's that on?
That's on Switch.
Okay. Did you play it on Switch, or did you play it on... Oh, nice.
Played it. I beat it. I would definitely recommend it. I think that was like an 8-hour beat. None of the games I like to play are much... Like, I won't really go more than 15 hours just because, it's not my thing, but... Yeah, I did enjoy that. I did halfway through it realize like this is not Link to the Past.
Yeah.
So those were my only. I don't even want to say disappointments or negatives. It's just something that you have to be conscious of going through. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I thought the music was a little repetitive though. I thought they could have spent a little more time on that. So I guess that's my only complaint, especially when you're comparing it to a game that has such iconic and amazing music.
Yeah.
And now with all the MSU and audio hacks. You have 5 different choices of how you want to play it, so it's you can play it with 8-bit style music. I mean, it's just original Link to the Past is every version of the music's amazing. So I would have liked to see a little more on that, but overall I would recommend that one.
Well, I have another game that I'll finish my list of games with. This game is Dead Cells.
Okay.
And have you heard of it at all?
No.
Because there was a lot of good PR going on about the game. It's getting rave reviews. It is a Metroidvania roguelike, but so, the roguelike game is the game that, you keep dying and you have to kind of start all over again.
Okay.
But this game is so fast and so much fun and is forgiving where it needs to be and challenging where it needs to be. It's hard to describe how well designed the game is until you play it. But I'll just give you a little taste. So you start out in this prison, and you're this prisoner, and the game is funny. It has a goofy little sense of humor to it. The prisoner, you're basically trying to escape this island, and you'll go on this path in the prison, and you're trying to get out, and it'll take you to the promenade, and then the promenade takes you to a clock tower, and then so on and so forth. Except every time you die, it rearranges everything because it's all procedurally generated. And I
have heard about
this game. That's right. And a lot of people aren't talking about it. The procedural generated Metroidvania levels are jaw-droppingly smart. I cannot get over how well designed they are, the algorithms that they have, and each level has its own theme, and the algorithm plays with that theme. So every time you're replaying it, it's a brand new game. You get all of these items. All the weapons are awesome. There's you could see a weapon and you find what works for you, and it constantly is giving you random weapons, and you like using all of them. And I have very rarely found a game that does that, where you just find oh, this is the good one I like, and you just keep using it. You get this one, you're like, oh, all right, I'll try that, and then you're having fun with it, and then you die. And it's the only game I die, and I'm oh, all right, let's do it again. I want to try the ice sword now, And the procedural generation, great example is, let's say you have this big Metroidvania map, right? And you explore this area, and there's stuff down here because there's a bunch of things on your piece. The map lets you right to the map as you play it. what happens is there are teleporters that are constantly being generated. All you do is you go up to a teleporter and you can teleport down to the area that you haven't explored it instantly. And you just explore that area. And then you can go back to the other area. Everything, the enemy is, they're varied and they have great diversity. And then when they start like working together, so they say, oh, I'm the guy that throws the grenades, I'm the guy that has a shield. You start getting them together and the tactics get awesome. But it is one of the most addicting games. And then on top of that, you know how I told you, like, oh, there's the prison and there's the prom. Then there are branching paths. And in those branching paths, you can get abilities that stay with you. So you can get like an ability to like climb walls. You don't need it, but you can get it if you want.
That's really neat.
It's and it's one of those games where every time a new mechanic opens up, you're like, oh, that's so smart. Oh, that's so smart. And it's.
And did you beat that one?
I am. Beating that game is a fun thing. I'm at the final area, and I keep stopping myself because I don't want to beat it. Because I'm unlocking everything. I'm having so much fun. Now, the game, you could just keep rebeating it and beating it over again. But I want to get a few more things before I go and take on the final boss. Just because it's like, I'm here, might as well. Just like, I'm having so much fun. But I'm like 99, I'm at the end. Like, I can now, I'm at the point where I can easily run through and get to the final level. And then get nearer, and I'm just like, okay, I don't think I'm ready for this yet. But it is, like, hands down one of the best experiences I've had in a very long time. The artwork, the music, hands down, gameplay style, and like this company, I think it's Motion Twin, they deserve an award just for the procedural generation alone. Because I played a lot of procedurally generated games, and this is probably the smartest implementation. It feels like the levels were made by a human.
And about how long do you think it would take to beat it if you want to explore an average amount?
I would say I'd say, you know, a good 10 hours before I'm at the point where I can go to the final castle area and beat the bad guy, the main guy. But it's one of those games I know I'm going to beat and I'm just going to keep playing over and over again because it's so much fun and you're like, oh, I want to unlock this thing and see what that does. And
so when you were talking about Golf Story, that's obviously one that you wholeheartedly recommended, but my only hesitation was it seemed like it might have a little too much of a role-playing vibe to it.
Yeah.
I figure it out when I get there. I will play that. But you're getting me really excited to play this game.
Dead Cells is my buddy Dave, who I do the pod, I was visiting him in Florida, and he's halfway through Hollow Knight, and he loves Hollow Knight. He's been, doing it. He's one of the people that's like, oh, after the first few hours you'll get, and he's watching me play Dead Cells, and he's like, that looks really good. Yeah. And then he goes and downloads it. He's like, I'll play it later. He starts playing Dead Cells. He cannot stop playing Dead Cells. He's like, I'm addicted. You cannot stop playing it once you start.
And what different platforms are that available?
It's on everything.
Okay.
It's on PC, PS4, Switch. I got on Switch.
Xbox One, everything.
Xbox One, everything.
All right.
Yeah, great game. Recommend it. Another super double thumbs up. Wes seal of approval. Just like the next game you're going to talk about.
All right. Well, before we get to that, before we get to the big one, a very quick rundown. For me, the don't play for me is Fox and Forest. And no offense to the people who love that game. Everybody's opinion is different. But, Hollow Knight, Fox and Forest, definitely not for me. And Mummy Demastered, Blossom Tales, they're good. They're good games. I would take Blossom Tales again over the other one. But for me, in the past year, maybe not necessarily in 2018, it's definitely, no doubt, number one, Ori and the Blind Forest on Xbox One. And number two is Axiom Verge again. I guess that's pretty much it. So the same old for me, no surprises here. So for you, what's like the number one to play Golf Story for you?
I would say, it's a toss-up between Golf Story and Dead Cells.
Okay.
The thing about Dead Cells is if you don't have a Switch, you can't play Golf Story. If you have everything, you can play, Dead Cells. Golf Story is a more chill game. If you're looking for a chill game, that's your game to go to. Dead Cells is, I can't say I'm addicted to it. I can't say, but like you might have some pit stains after, you know, you're just like, you know, because you get so in the zone. And my buddy Dave said it to me. He's like, this game puts you in a state of flow. Like you really get into it, and you're just like exploring all the Metroidvania style like maps and this and that, and unlocking chests and finding secret areas and yeah, it is. It's up there.
And very quick honorable mentions of any older games that you may have played or beaten this year.
Well, Samus Returns, honorable mention.
Older, like, classic games.
I got into a very strange game recently, Lemmings.
Yeah, it's a good game. I had it for a Tandy 1000 computer when I was a kid.
Yeah, I bought it for the Super Nintendo because I saw it somewhere for like $3. I'm like, all right, and I started playing it, and it was one of those like, I'll do a few levels, 20 levels later, and I'm just like, man, this game was so much fun. Like, they haven't really made a new Lemmings game in like 15 years, and it's the game where you get the little guys and you give them commands to. You basically have to save the level. Say you need to save 30 lemmings, and it's going to give you 100 lemmings. And they have some sort of obstacle they need to get through to get to the exit. And that's it, no story, just like get them from point A to point B. At least in the Super Nintendo version, there's no story. I loved that game. So that was like my playing on the Sony PVM. Like little sit down, like retro experience. That and something else. Tetris Attack. Been playing that, but that was it recently. The problem is I've just been playing everything on the Switch, you know, just because I've been mobile. I've been very mobile lately.
Yeah. For me, I've been testing the Game Boy Advance HDMI adapter, which hopefully is coming soon. It's been delayed for all the right reasons. So there's going to be more features, more solid design. Not that it wasn't solid before. So I did go through and play a bunch of the original Castlevanias for Game Boy Advance, which I loved. I'd never played them before, but they're great. I really enjoyed them. I think I played. What's the Zelda game for Game Boy that they redid?
DX?
Link's Awakening.
Oh, Link's Awakening, yeah.
DX, yeah. So, all great games, all highly recommend. I know that we were focusing on newer games, but the classics. The one I got into recently was Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why, but it made me go and buy a professional grade fight stick for it. And I made sure to get all of it because I want to go. I think it's fun to play it on Genesis, play it on Saturn, but I did also order the arcade board. So
nice.
I ordered it from overseas, so who knows how many weeks, months it'll take to get here. But I don't know why, I just immediately became addicted to that game again. So, but I even talked to Mike Chi, the creator of the Retro Tink, to help me make a custom image so that if I wanted to test the arcade versions, it would be perfectly timed and smooth in the screen. Like, I can't tell you how lucky I am that I have nerd friends like that.
Yeah.
But it's,
I'm lucky I know you, because every once in a while I'll send Bob a text. I'm like, why is this not working with this? It's like, shut this off and turn this on. Oh, now it's working. Thanks, Bob.
All right. So I think we gotta talk about the big one. The reason why I dragged you to New York City.
In your beautiful apartment.
Do we need a break? Do we need to?
I
do you
think
need a glass of water?
Let's just keep going. Let's just keep going.
So you start.
So I played a game on PC.
Okay.
So I can say that the PC version of the game I had. Oh, there's like a fire going on. So if people can hear that, it's okay. We're okay. There's like lots of sirens. It's New York City. All right, I think we're good.
Yeah, sorry for the New York sirens and murder break there, but so.
It's pretty. So, all right, I played this game on the PC.
On the PC.
And the PC version had nowhere near as many bugs as you experienced, and the Switch version of this game has gone down in history on the Nintendo Switch Reddit as a notoriously super duper buggy game. And for that, I feel very sorry for, but I enjoyed the game, and the game is Owlboy.
Okay.
Now you played Owlboy, and this is why we're here.
So, because I'm such a nice, caring, and cautious of my friends' feelings type of person, every single time the game crashed or something bad happened, I would send him a wall of profanity and anger through text message.
Along with video of it happening, too.
To prove that I'm not, which, if anybody's listening to this audio only, even if you don't care about any of the other videos we're showing, just skip to about this point in the video, because I will show some of the crazy bugs I had in this game. But let's just start from the beginning. Dialogue. Dialogue, dialogue, dialogue. My thumb hurt just from trying to skip through all of these unskippable scenes. Did you like the dialogue in the game?
I thought it was charming. I did like the dialogue in the game. I say it was a little bit long at times? Yes, I will agree with that. There was something to me that was refreshing about a game that didn't take place in, the typical JRPG. And what I liked about the game is it didn't have like the JRPG characters. It's just like, I'm the hot-headed person, and then I'm the stoic. All the characters seemed goofy and lovable, and that's something I miss from a lot of these style adventure games. Because you look at a game like any of the Octopath Traveler. I'm not into that stuff anymore. But you pretty much anime type characters, I'm the thief, I'm the knight, I'm the bard. And this game didn't have that. It was just all really interesting characters. Mm-hmm. But I will give you the fact that there was a lot of dialogue a lot of reading.
Yeah.
Bob doesn't like reading.
I love reading when I pick up a book and decide to read it. If I pick up my Kindle and I sink into a book, I could blink and 2 hours will go by, and sometimes it's a documentary, sometimes it's nonfiction, sometimes it's just one of the military adventure novels I read because I'm still a man-child and like those things.
Yeah.
But I don't buy a video game to read a book. I buy a video game to play a game. So that's not for me on this one. Not for me. The game mechanics drove me nuts.
Really?
The gameplay, the picking up and throwing and using people as and that is preference. That's not a broken thing in the game. That's just, I really love you're the person, you have your weapons.
Yeah.
I'm Samus, I'm blasting people with my blaster, I got missiles and upgrades, and I like that very much. And the fact that you're always working in tandem, it reminded me very much of Sonic and Knuckles in a way. And I didn't really like Sonic and Knuckles. I liked Sonic and Knuckles, but not Sonic and Knuckles for 32X. So.
Well, you don't like Knuckles Chaotix?
Wait, was Knuckles Chaotix the 32X one?
That's the Chaotix.
Sorry, Sonic and Knuckles I thought was awesome. Knuckles Chaotix was
Knuckles
the
Chaotix.
32X version where you
you're tandem with someone else. Yeah.
So that's just a personal preference that I didn't like, but there was no point in the game where you just got a gun upgrade and you got to defend yourself. You still had to plan out these things, and there were parts of the game, a bunch of different parts of the game, midway through that if you made one mistake, when I say a mistake, 1 second off in one of the runs, escapes, whatever else, you were dead.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like that, I've played a lot of games where like the ending exit or like the last major run.
Yeah.
That's the whole progression to get to a point where you get good enough at the gameplay to make it through to a point like that. But there was sporadically throughout the game a bunch of stuff like that, and it got on my nerves a lot.
So I will give you this, and I don't know were the loading screens long on the Switch?
Not really.
Okay, because
they weren't short, but like, I mean, in the days of PS3 games taking 4 minutes to load a Mortal Kombat match, I can't call it long.
What are your thoughts on just the look, the graphics, the stylization, and the music of the game?
I liked it.
You liked it?
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm not complaining on is the graphics were cool, the music was fine. But I did find my list of complaints that I wrote.
What you have like a deposition there? I wasn't ready for this. This is.
So the number one.
I'm getting heated here. This is.
The dad's bad attitude, which is not the words that I wrote in this list, was a huge turnoff to me. It's not motivating like bullies in other video games where like, yeah, I'm going to show that bully, like Groose in Skyward Sword or something. It just makes you think that Otis is going to off himself before the thing's over because he gets depressed because his dad is a very, very, very horrible person throughout the whole thing.
I don't know. I don't think I felt that way. I felt like his dad was a jerk, and it was. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's tough because it's a father figure. I think it makes because if it was just some non-blood relative bully, it's a little different feeling. But yeah, his dad was pretty.
Whoever wrote that had some childhood issues.
Yeah, there's definitely so the relationship in the game is the main character Owlboy and his father, they have a rocky relationship because Owlboy's a mute.
Right.
And that's a big part of the game, too, is that you know how you have like the silent protagonist and they just don't talk? Like, it's a big point that your character is a mute and cannot speak. Mm-hmm. And people make fun of him for it. There is a lot of angst, if you will, around that.
And all of that fits well with the storyline in the game, except the dad. That just really bugs me a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. And it's strange because I didn't have a mean dad that would treat me like that.
Yeah.
It seemed strange, and especially the thought of like, what if kids are playing this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't. Another thing I had written down. I very often can't see Owlboy when I get hit. Sometimes he goes flying out of view. And sometimes my eyes just follow whoever he's carrying. So if one of the characters is bigger than Owlboy and he gets hit and they go flying both ways, my eyes just happen to sometimes go to the brighter one or the bigger one, which is part of the gameplay mechanics that I did not like at all.
I could definitely see that, and I've actually had issues with that because, like, the character Getty, who's hanging underneath he's shooting. He's doing the shooting.
Right.
So your eye goes to where he is where the gun is that's like shooting the little bullety ball things he has. Mm-hmm. And then you're not paying attention to Owlboy and he rams into something and then they fly off and you're like, whoa, what just happened?
Right. And that happened a lot in boss battles where it's high intensity. And
I will give you that one. I will definitely give you that one.
All right. Don't worry, there's more.
There's more.
I felt the controls were weird and clunky, but the one note I left for myself in this was maybe if it was played on a different platform with like an Xbox One controller.
See, I had an Xbox One controller.
See,
Elite.
Right, so that might have actually felt great. I did not like the Switch controller. And this
Do you have a Switch Pro controller?
No, I have the 8BitDo SNES style one, which normally I love. I didn't. Both felt clunky in this one.
The Switch Pro controller is very good. I do recommend it. Try to get it on sale though.
I was going to say $80.
Yeah, you can get it for. I've seen it for $60. You just gotta wait for it to go on sale. It's because of that NFC reader that adds so much more to the price.
That I'm not ever going to use at all.
Gyroscope, yeah, but it's built in.
Well,
let me scroll up on the list.
The pirate gun is so lame. Even 3/4 of the way through, there's no better gun. Sometimes to progress, you have to shoot, wait, shoot, backtrack, wait, shoot, because when you shoot, you have to wait for your thing to power back up.
Yeah.
So that, at the end of a game where you've been working your butt off the whole time and still have your essential pea shooter that you had from the beginning, I did not like that at all. I feel like after all that work, you should have gotten something. Even if the enemies got harder and your guns got better, you know?
I'll be honest, I don't remember that too much. I played this game over 2 years ago, so... Okay. I do remember the pirate is the fat one, and he's heavier, so he can unlock like more things.
Right, and he's the one with the gun.
He has the bigger gun,
shotgun.
the shotgun.
But when you shoot, I think you get a couple of shots out of him, or maybe it's just one, but you have to wait for it to charge back up before you can shoot again. And I felt like a game that started like that should end with something better than that.
Yeah.
So that did start to get frustrating, especially when it wasn't a part of the game that required strategy. It's like, okay, I'm done here, I need to get here. There's nothing in between but some enemies. That's where it felt great in Metroid, to be able to just go through and blow through all the enemies like without even, blinking an eye, because you've earned it. The game wasn't like that. The game was hard. Now you've earned it. Blow through the stupid little, bottom crawler thingies and then get to the last section. Yeah. Whereas there was definitely not that at all.
And another thing.
Actually, not too much more. The bosses don't show hits taken well enough. I did not hear any sounds or lights to make sure that you're doing it right, especially the snake boss. So, like in Super Metroid, you shoot something.
Or just most games, there's like some tell that gives you information that that's how I harm it. Yeah.
Right. And Link to the Past.
And again, I don't remember that. I do remember the end of the snake battle, which is pretty cool.
Well, so that could be that you played it on a different platform than me. I did have another note. The snake boss had slowdowns worse than old school NES.
See, and that's where I think you're in the Switch zone, and that thing... Because that game was built on the Xbox 360 Indie XNA platform.
Which I heard is actually a great platform to build on.
Yeah.
Matt from Tanglewood, definitely spoke very highly of that.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was ported from there to the Switch,
it didn't do well.
I guess not.
Yeah, it's almost like this is why everything's getting made in GameMaker or Unity right now, just because the porting is so much easier.
And I do specifically remember that snake battle, and it brought me right back to the days of the Dark Nuts in Zelda. The red and blue things with the swords.
Yep.
Where you could only hit from the side or behind. Those slowdown screens in NES used to drive me crazy. This was worse.
It's
than
like
that.
the woo 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 woo, and like one would die, and then it gets really slow, and
Well, just the more movement on the screen, the more So that drove me crazy. But all of this is not even remotely close to my one most single complaint about this game. Nothing. All of these things, you could argue that I'm just a cranky old man that likes games my way.
Old man yells at cloud.
Yeah, like you could completely go, except I have never in my life on any platform, including a lot of homebrew I've played, I have never had a game crash so much. When I say crash, here's where all the footage and screenshots come out. You would randomly be playing, sometimes it would be right after you saved, so it's like, all right, kind of annoying. Sometimes I'd have to reboot the Switch.
Wow.
It was very bad. There were times where I'd get past a certain area, and then all of a sudden, like, I'd pause and unpause, and the game would crash. Sometimes it was just walking.
And just crash.
And it would always come up with I'm pretty sure I still have the screenshots. I will have it in this video. It's just a switch error. This software has crashed. Please restart. But the piece de resistance, the one where I sent you by far the longest text, was when I had beaten the game because I was determined to beat it now.
Yes.
Now it was like my arch nemesis.
Now it's out of spite. You're fueled by spite.
Out of spite to you.
Yeah.
Out of spite, I'm beating it. I beat the game. All of a sudden, and here's a little spoiler, so if you're watching this does show the end of the game. I beat the last boss, and it transitions into a scene, and then the whole scene gets crazy. And then you're walking, I realize, like, wait a minute, I think I'm still on the screen, and I'm walking back and forth, but you can't really see me, everything's dark. It crashed at the last scene of the game.
So you couldn't even see the ending.
Could not even see the ending. I have footage of that. I think I downloaded it from somewhere, but yeah. So I made it to the very end of this badly polished turd. And I made it, I beat it, and I couldn't even experience that correctly.
It wouldn't even give you the pleasure of having the ending.
No.
Now, in my defense, I did play this on the PC.
So you played it on the PC, so that engine from the 360 ported well over to the PC.
Oh yeah, it runs great on Windows.
You played it on the Xbox 360 Pro controller.
Yeah, so the Elite.
The Elite controller.
The Elite.
So right there, I imagine 50% of my complaints, if not more, would be cured.
Be cured. Because, and this was my penance, literally after he sent me that text, after Bob sent me the text, and then the video of the non-ending, I immediately sent him an eShop card to buy Golf Story because I felt so bad that you had to deal with
She didn't have to do it.
I did not have to do it, but I felt so because I talked up Owlboy so much. And you just had the most miserable experience with it. But I give you a tip of the hat because you powered through it, and then the game rewarded you with not giving you an ending.
The game, I felt like when I beat it and it crashed, I felt like the game said, "We screwed up. You're right.
You're right.
This was terrible." I thought about tweeting the company that made it, but what's that going to do?
Yeah,
what if every other port was amazing?
Yeah, and that was the thing. I know the Switch port had a lot of issues, and I think it was a third-party company that they hired to put the port out. I don't know, I may be wrong, but it seems the way that's like what a lot of companies do. I see that as a BuiltWorks or something. There's a lot of those companies that will port your games for you because you're just too tired and you're like, I don't want to figure that out.
Did they just go on Fiverr.com and see if they could pay somebody cheap to port it
exactly.
over? Hey, can you do this in a day and a half? Here's $100.
Yeah, here you go. Oh, I got that. Yeah, I'll port your game to Switch.
So, Owlboy for the Switch, I am giving a hard no. A hard no. You could lay out $1,000 and say, play it for 15 minutes, and I will just pull that money right back in your hand and walk away. That was awful, broken game for the Switch. If you want to play it for other platforms, just know that it's a tandem-style game, and parts are frustrating.
Yeah, parts are frustrating. I did get the soundtrack, which is very enjoyable to listen to.
Really? I think it just would give me nightmares.
Yeah, here to give you...
I'd wake up thinking I was glitching.
Yeah, you get the... We would just give you the screwed up version of the soundtrack. So.
Oh, right, yeah, right, exactly.
So you can really get the full Owlboy experience.
Send me the record, but cut slices in it so it skips
just
every once in a while. Yeah, that would be my punishment.
Oh, man. So...
All right, so before we're out of here, the game that you're playing now...
Dead Cells.
Dead Cells.
Yes.
That's probably going to be the game I play next.
Yes, please
Tanglewood
do.
for me. Loved Tanglewood.
Tanglewood. Should I wait for the Genesis? Like, should I just get on? What should I do with Tanglewood? Because I see good things about it. I don't know what to do. I'm on the fence on how I should play Tanglewood. What should I do?
I have an opinion on this.
Okay.
It's just an opinion.
It's just a...
But my opinion is, buy it right now on Steam.
Okay.
You get the Genesis ROM for free.
Okay.
If you're like me and you have a Genesis ROM cart and you have an RGB setup, play it that way.
Okay.
It's as good as it's going to get. As good as an experience as you could get on a Genesis.
Okay.
Or if you have a really great Steam rig, you already have the nice controller and everything, you just play it there. You don't have to spend all the money on it.
Yeah.
If you like it, because it's not like a beat-em-up game like so many of the Genesis games that are being released now. It's a side-scrolling
Everyone's like,
puzzle.
we miss Streets of Rage, and it's like, yes, another Streets of Rage clone.
Which I'm totally cool with.
Which I'm fine, but it's nice to get some variety.
This is its own thing. I would call it a side-scrolling puzzle platformer.
See, I'm down.
It's a puzzle-style game where, like, while it does feel like there's action, there's no shooting and fighting and beating up. It's more of a puzzler. But I really, really enjoy it, and I think by the time this airs, I believe the password system is going to be working so that you could go from Genesis to Steam and back to Genesis.
That's smart. That is smart. Right. That is really smart.
Because I know a lot of friends that have dedicated PC rigs that at any time they want, they flip a switch, they fire up a game, and they're good. Yeah. Whereas their RGB rig, they have to roll over and set up. And sometimes you just want to play it for 10 minutes. You don't have the 5 to set up. So that is definitely it. But they are selling a hard copy boxed original cart version. So it's an $18 game or something. So I would definitely say try the demo. Demo's free. Go get that on Steam. I think they might even have a Genesis ROM demo. That's a no-brainer because it's free. Yep. If you like it, buy the Steam version. And I think most people would be very happy with that. Yeah. So would the developers. But if you love the game, then buy the Genesis cart because how cool is that?
That's what I was thinking. And all right, I'll go Steam, and if I'm loving it, get the Genesis cart.
Yeah, and I know, money's tight for most people. You don't have cash to throw around like this, but if you love that game, I don't know of that many other people, if anybody, spending the time and effort to make this truly feel like an original Genesis game. Yeah. And the work that went into making sure the PCB was flawless, everything. I mean, it is exactly equal to as good from a manufacturing perspective as the best Genesis game ever released. The PCBs are perfect, great. Plastic's perfect. Yeah. People were complaining about the box art on the website. That's not the real box art. They put that there so people wouldn't burn their own ROMs and throw them onto a cart and sell them on eBay and stuff
look what I got. The real Tanglewood.
Real. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And I do like the game, and it's, I did not think I was going to like it. Yeah. I first started playing it. I'm like, where's the action? How come everything kills you? How come I can't kill somebody? And then maybe into the second chapter, so not very far, half hour into it, I started to realize I was looking at the game wrong. Yeah. And that's when I completely changed. I was like, wow, this is brilliant.
I had the exact same thought process when the first time I played Metal Gear Solid for the PlayStation 1. I started playing it, and I'm dying instantly. Like every 5 seconds, I'm dying. I'm like, what is this guy Solid Snake? He's terrible. He can't do anything. Like and I still had that like Duke Nukem badass mentality in my head as a kid.
Yep.
And I had to realize like, oh, it's a sneaking. Like I'm weak, and I need to like sneak and plan and do things, and I can't easily just go in there like guns toting and be like, I'm the secret agent. Pew pew. And when I had that mentality, then it became my favorite game. Like I was just like, oh, I'm totally into this now. And now I can't stop playing sneaking games. But all right, Tanglewood, I'm down. I'm down. I think I sold you on Dead Cells. You sold me on Tanglewood.
Yeah, we'll check back in, and if this time I'm the one getting the hateful text messages, I will totally
worst
understand.
Game ever. Yeah, it keeps glitching.
Why does a fox get killed by a turtle or something? I don't know. Like, no, the one thing I will say is that I have not encountered one single glitch in the Genesis version.
Really?
So I will definitely say that. I can't speak for the Steam version because I want to play it on original hardware.
Yeah. Yeah, I might end up doing that too.
You have the ability to, so
yes,
why not?
I do. So, awesome.
Well, thank you for coming all the way down here.
Thank you for. I think we need
fun.
to do this again sometime.
Yeah, we should check in every now and then and actually talk about games and not just how they're built, how much lag it has, how much like I concentrate
every
my
once
whole
in a while,
life
you
on.
kind of get lost in the minutia, and you're just like, can you just sit down and have fun with it? You know,
Yeah.
play the game.
Absolutely. So, thanks for coming down. We're doing this one again.
Great.
Where can everybody find you?
Just secondopiniongames.com and 2ND Opinion Games at Twitter. But we're on it's a podcast, audio, once a week. We talk about everything. So it's not just retro games. A lot of it's modern games, PC gaming, console gaming. We talk about game news, everything. It's pretty, it's G-rated, so it's nice. And anyone can listen to it. And that's pretty much it. It's just a little hobby that I do. So we got a lot of cool guests on. And, my co-host Evan for most. And sometimes we get my buddy Dave, who runs a charity for disabled veterans for video games called StackUp.org. And there's another one called Warfighter Engage. So, but yeah, we do a lot of fun stuff.
Very awesome. Both very cool people too.
Oh yes.
So. And anybody that doesn't already know it, I'm RetroRGB at RetroRGB, and my channel is definitely not G-rated. I swear a lot. I get a little passionate about these things, and when I speak of them, I let you know how I feel. So yeah, don't let your kids watch my stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, nothing really bad, nothing offensive,
no
porn or anything really that offensive. But I do swear. So. All right, thanks a lot, Wes. We'll do this again.
See
everybody next time.
Thanks for having me.